Hello class. So today I wanted to give you a brief overview of how to assign these IPv6 addresses. We've been working in IPv6 for a little while now, and we've been talking about the way they're formatted and the way that we assign them, but I haven't really shown you an example of how to actually assign them onto Cisco routers and to in-user devices and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and go through that process right now. I've kind of created a little bit of a network here, and we're going to go through and completely configure this, and so we can be ready to get working. So you can see that I have 3 routers here, 2 switches, and a PC over here, and I'm actually getting ready to put a PC right here as well. And while I'm talking, let me go ahead and connect this. So the networks that we're working with, I've highlighted right here. And these are IPv6 networks we're remembering, because that's what we're working in right now. So we are going to be naming them what these are listed right here. So FD0011 and with the subnet of 1, and then with the prefix length of 64. So you can see each one of these networks has the same global routing prefix, but it does change the subnet here, subnet being 0001 for that network, 0002 for that network, 0003 for this network, and the subnet being 0004. Remember why we do subnets here, because each of these network segments has to have a different subnet in order to be able to communicate. So we have to plan these out. And when you're doing your own networks in your own real life or in your simulators, you want to plan these out first so that it's just going to make things quicker and easier. You don't have to keep referring back to your documentation or trying to figure out networks on the fly. So this is the way the networks are going to go. So real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple things. One, you can see the network, this section here, the subnet 3 is already up here, but actually the IP address here on this gig 01 interface for router 5 does not have an IP address set. You can see right there. So we're going to go ahead and set an IP address here. So in order to set an IPv6 address, you're going to do this process. You're going to go to configure terminal. Okay, and then you're going to set the interface gigabit. Let me move this out of the way so I can read it here. Gigabit 0/1. And remember, we're configuring the inside interface for this router right here, gigabit 0/1. So we're going to go to that interface. We're now in interface configuration mode, and we're going to set the IP address. Now with an IPv4 address, we would usually just do IP address and then set whatever, 192.168.1.1, something like that. But we're not going to do that because we're doing IPv6. So we're going to do IPv6, if I can get my typing right, address. And then we're going to set the IP address depending on the subnet that we're using. So we'll do FD00113. Notice I have 0003 up here, but I just abbreviated that to 3. Remember the rules that we can abbreviate the leading zeros, so we can remove those. So then here I'm left with a little bit of a quandary here, because I have the whole subnet defined here, but I don't have the host portion defined yet because I don't know what I want to set that to. Typically, I like setting my routers, especially if they're the default gateways, to the .1, the first usable IP address in that subnet. And so I'm probably going to do the same here, but I do want to go through a little bit of an example. We were talking briefly about the EUI-64, the auto configuration mode. So it is possible to auto configure the IP address based upon the global routing prefix that we have here, using the EUI-64 or modified EUI-64 procedure. And the way we would do that, remember, we were calculating how to do that manually, but in the actual router, all you have to do is add that EUI-64. Oops, I just deleted it. Yes, I did. Sorry about that. Let me go ahead and get back in here, copy it, Probably gonna mess up something. Paste. Nope, that's an old thing. Let's come here, copy again. Okay. That would work if I was still in interface configuration mode. So let's do that again real quickly. Gigabit 0/1, and then we'll go ahead and paste what we have here. And then I'm going to use the EUI-64 process, and now it has successfully completed. Remember, I told you if you don't get an error at this point here, then you know that it's gone through successfully. So now if we're going to check what that IP address actually is, we can do a show IPv6 interface brief, and we can see that the IP address that was set for 0/1 is, what is it? There it is right there. Don't get it confused. That first one's the link local IP, but this is the local unique IPv6 address. And so that works out just fine until I'm going to be trying to set my default gateways on my end user devices, or I'm going to be trying to do routing in between devices here, because it's going to mess things up. And I'm going to show you how. Not mess things up, just make things a little harder. So let's go here to the PC2. Okay. And PC2, we can just set the PC to auto IP config for the IPv6 network. And if we want to click that, we get an automatically assigned IP address. Fantastic, pretty easy, right? What it actually did was it queried the router. It saw what the prefix, global routing prefix was, and then it just added its own automatically assigned host or interface portion. So, wonder how long this has been. Still recording? Yes. Okay. And so that works fine. We could actually ping the router here if we wanted to. Let's do that test. I'm going to use an IPv6 config in order to grab the default gateway right here. And then I'm going to ping the default gateway, and we will be successful. But look, as you can tell here, if I'm going to be doing any kind of work with this default gateway, I'm going to have to remember this whole IP address, at least the last portion, you know, so it's going to be kind of difficult. So the way I like to work it is like I told you, I like to set my IP addresses to the first IP address of the subnet. So let's do that. Gigabit 0/1, is it still 0/1 that I was working with? Yep. So let's do an IPv6 address, but this time let's enter in FD0011. It's the third subnet, and let's just do the first usable IP of 1 right there. Notice I used the double colons here so that I could abbreviate the rest of those zeros, take those out of there. So I can assign this and do a .64 prefix length, and then we'll be good there. So now, when I go here to ping, I don't have to copy this whole big old process, the whole big old IP address. I can just ping FD0011, oops, 113, ::1. And then look, boom, we get a good IP address there. So that's 2 ways to set the IP address on the router. In the next portion here, I'm going to describe how to actually do some static routes here so that we can ping in between the networks. So great, thank you very much. Hope this helped.